This is a video about how to fix an oil reservoir on a 225 and a 250 Optimax Mercury engine outboard. The problem with these tanks, you have to replace them completely. You cannot just replace the sensor. So I did replace few of them, and they still break in a few months with the same problem and the same fault. 4 peeps on the dash, and the boat goes to safety mode where the engine goes really slow, and you'll be stuck in the middle of nowhere going 10 knots or less per hour to make it back to port or to safety. So we'll go or we continue explaining how to do a repair that will fix it for good. Okay, we'll go to step 1. After you do your testing and you're completely sure that it's a sensor problem, and you have to replace the container because the sensor does not come separate, and it costs a lot of money, about 150 or more. I went through them a lot, so I had to figure out a way how to fix them. First, you test them, of course, and you test the sensor with a magnet and an ohmmeter. Here is the sensor. The way to test it, one terminal here and the other here, and you pass a magnet on an ohmmeter, and if you have a variable reading, your sensor is okay. So we start by repairing the float system, which is this part, and because it's welded or seal welded or heat welded, I have to cut it, and you have to cut it very neatly and accurate, because if it's not, it's gonna leak. The best way to cut it, I use Dremel with a small cutting disc, and we start cutting. Hold it. Oh, before we cut it, we mark one mark here. We mark one mark here and one mark here, so we can put it back the same place we took it out, and we start cutting. Cut very neatly. I cut it before, it's just a way to show you. I cut it as nice as I can do it, but I'm gonna run into a problem. I cannot cut this side with the Dremel, so get a knife, a steak knife, heat it up in the oven, and go slowly and carefully to this side and melt it, and then go to the other side and also melt it. And then we take the float part out, as you can see, also slowly and carefully. And this is the problem. The problem, there is a magnet here that is broken off the float. This is the float and this is a magnet. They should be together, glued together. I don't know what they use, and it's surely not working good because it breaks all the time and it costs a lot of money to repair it. So the float and the magnet, they came apart, and we have to figure out a way to seal it for good or glue it together for good. We go to step 2. Now to repair the float, which you can see the magnet came apart from the float, and they're not together anymore because of bad glue from Mercury or Mercury. The best way I found, I tried glues, but they come apart after a while. The best way I found is to get your regular home electric wire, strip it, and you take about 4 of these copper wires apart. The thicker the gauge, the better, as long as it fits between this plastic and the float and it moves freely. So I would say 12 gauge will be fine. Take 4 pieces of these, cut them, and take one by one, pass it through the magnet and the float, like that. Turn it around, it's a little bit shorter, and you tie it. It's a little bit shorter, we should have cut it a little bit longer. And you tight the line, and then cut it from the side so it won't have any things sticking out. And you get another one, and I think four is enough. You do the same thing. Do the same thing, and after I'll do it, I will show you, and we'll move to step 3. All right, now you can see that I got these copper wires from a home electric wire. I pass it through and I tie it. I used about 6 here. If you can come closer, you'll see there it's 6. And now the magnet is tied to the float, and it's not gonna come off for a long time. Now after we've done that, and we are sure that it's free moving, nothing is holding it, the wires are not too thick, and it's moving freely, then we are done. Now the tricky part is how to glue this thing back to the container. The best glue I found in the market, and if you find better, it will be also great. You can advise all the other people. This type, it's a super glue, but very strong. It's a spray that you first use the spray, and you clean the part. You clean this part really good, and also this part from the oil and dirt. And then after you clean it, you wait till it dries, and then you spray this here and also here. After that, you put the super glue here, and be generous here and also here, and then you go where your marks are from step 1, where the marks are, and you slide that thing in carefully and slowly, but as fast as possible, and you put the mark on the mark and you glue it. You hold it for 10, 15, 20 seconds and it is glued. After that, You can spray some more. This is a what's called a stabilizer, I think. You spray some more here, and this thing will hold for a long time. If you have a better glue, you can use, but you have to be sure that it does not leak under pressure. So what I do is I fill it up with water or gasoline if you want, and you close it after it dries completely, and you see if there is any leak from that part. And if it's not leaking, then you are in a good shape. You put back the sensor, and you hook it to the boat, and you don't have this peeping, four peeping sounds ever again. And now you have your container fixed and repaired for a long time, and you won't hear this beeping, four beeping sounds on your gauges. Now I use another trick, and also I take it with me as a spare for all you fishermen. I take also a sensor from an old container as a spare in case in the sea anything like that happen and the sensor is not working. I take a sensor from an old container and a magnet, and I go to my trip. In any emergency, if anything happens and the float is not working and I get these beeps on the engine, I get my sensor, I get my magnet, and preferably like that, it has a hole in the center, and I slide it in here, and if I have a tape, I tape it, and I go to the engine, disconnect the tank sensor, the reservoir sensor, and I connect that to it. I connect the sensor to the engine, and the beeping should go, and you should make it home safely with the speed you like. But you have to be sure that the container has oil. This container has oil and is working fine. You open the bleeder and you see if the oil floats out, comes out, and the vacuum or the pump system is working. And you use this till it gets you home, then you fix your problem. Thank you very much, and I hope that video is helpful for you. Thank you.